Right, I just wanted to show you how you can go about launching a interactive Jupyter notebook that has a Jupyter notebook in it that enables you to produce some of the charts and process some of the metrics in the Actionable Agile style of format. So this has been inspired by this spreadsheet that Marco put together. And I've used that sort of as a template. So if you want a LibreOffice compatible version of a tool to deal with actionable agile files, then go and have a look at this Bitbucket repo. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just show you how to launch the code in this repo, copy some data into it, and produce some of the charts you might want to use with an actionable agile sort of view of agile metrics. So just click on the button. It launches a MyBinder virtual machine. What you can do is you can click on the show button, and you can see what's happening at the moment here is that there's a Docker image being created, and all the files that I have specified in the requirements file are now busy being installed into that image. And once the virtual machine is up and running, we'll be able to use the Jupyter file. So this is really handy because I don't need to install anything on my local machine, which sometimes is a bit of a hassle, installing Python, making sure you've got a virtual environment set up, etc. Can be a bit tricky at times, especially when you've got many people who are not familiar with Python and setting up environments, but know enough Python to be able to use a Jupyter notebook. The other thing being said is that Jupyter notebooks are essentially now the tool of choice for data analytics. So being able to launch this in Jupyter Notebook gives people the ability to tweak and adjust the way in which the calculations are done. You can rerun the calculations, and you can then get just the kind of output that you want. So in a couple of seconds, hopefully what will happen is we will have our notebook up and running. There we go. Let's just zoom in on that. So what I've got now is I've got the Jupyter Lab interface. I can now launch my notebook. Right, there we go. So I must say I've modified Marco's spreadsheet slightly. What I'm doing is I'm going more down the sort of language to describe what the various cycle times are used, or let's say made popular by Steve and Wolfram. And so here's just the direction that I'm going in terms of some of the metrics. So Jupyter notebooks are quite easy to use. All you do is you click on the cell and then you press Shift Enter. So Shift Enter, I've just imported a number of different libraries, Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, SciPy. These then now provide the notebook with the type of functions which then become useful as you then process stuff further down the line. What I then do is just set a couple of variables. I import and set up a couple of variables. So we've got today's date, and now we can go into the point where we can load some various information. So if I had a spreadsheet in the root folder, then I could actually load it straight into Pandas and then start slicing and dicing that. Alternatively, I've got one of the teams I'm working with at the moment. I've got a bunch of data that I've extracted from Jira, and I want to slice and dice those. Alternatively, what I can do is I can just copy and paste the data from a spreadsheet into the cell and then suck it in that way. So here's an example of what that looks like. So just to go through that process, I can just open up LibreOffice. This is an example of the type of data that you've got in a spreadsheet. So if I select all of this, just zoom out a bit. Just to give you an idea, when you copy and paste from Excel or from LibreOffice, it comes in as a tab delimited set of data. So I'll go Control C. I switch back to the browser just to show you how easy this is. I'll go, I add a new cell, edit. Insert cell above. I've got, for some reason, and now I'll go paste. Just Control V. Okay, so what you see over here is this is the text that I've just pasted in from the spreadsheet. And then what you can see over here is I've just wrapped that in a comments quote. So as long as you just use this as your templates, you'll be able to paste information into the spreadsheet. I won't go through the nitty-gritty details, or then on the other hand, why not? And just copy that. Right. And then if we just copy that and put that at the end, what I've got now is I've just created a string called data sheets, which contains all the cell information in it in the format as recommended. And then by running this function over here, I end up with a Pandas data frame. Insert cell below, and if I basically, there we go. So this is what it looks like when you've got a Pandas data frame. Now Pandas is really sort of spreadsheet on steroids, very powerful. You can do all sorts of wonderful things with it, very fast calculations, etc. So again, I'm just pressing Shift Enter as I go through this. So Shift Enter, let's just get rid of those commands. So Shift Enter, this shows me the columns that I've got in that data frame. I'm going to rename some of the columns that come out of the spreadsheet. So I'm basically removing the dash. There's one of the functions which doesn't like dashes. I'm just renaming block days to wait time. And then when I have data coming from my other spreadsheets, I have a couple of other fields that I like to remap into names so that they're a bit more standard and consistent. So once again, let's just check to see that we now have a column called wait time as opposed to block days, and our in progress now doesn't have any space, doesn't have any dashes in it. The next thing I want to specify is I want to specify what the date columns are, because I just want to make sure that the date columns are all in the right time date format. So again, I'm just pressing Shift Enter as I step through the cells. Then I just convert those columns into date time types. And here I'm just checking to see what the formats are for those particular columns. Yeah. Right, etc., etc. And then by stepping through the spreadsheet, following the instructions, you get to the point where we've got some charts all the way at the bottom. We've got a distribution, we've got scatter plots, we've got cumulative flow diagrams, we've got a run charts, etc., etc. There are a few more charts to come, but this is hopefully the start of an easy-to-use tool. And you can download these charts by pressing Shift right-click, and you can save the image to your local drive and use those in your reports. And that's it, more or less. More to come soon.